Welcome into episode 34 of the Godly Young Men podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. Today we are talking social media, and I'm going to do something I don't think I have ever done before on this podcast, and sort of, I'm being very serious about this. We're going to talk about a lot of things in this episode today that maybe people are not going to be open to. I'm going to challenge all you young guys who are watching this. If you're going to watch this episode and kind of be like, yeah, I don't really care, I'm still going to do whatever I want to do on social media, turn it off. Like, don't listen to any of the rest of this. Go watch something else. Don't pay any attention, because we believe these things are extremely important.
Right.
And again, we are realists. We know a lot of people might not listen to this, but I want everybody who does watch and listen to this episode to at least come to it with an open mind.
Yep.
To at least come to it with, okay, maybe I do some things on social media that aren't great. Let me at least see what these guys have to say and be open to it. That's all we're asking. Again, if you're gonna watch this and say, I might listen to what they have to say, but I'm gonna do my own thing. Again, go do something else. We'd rather this episode be for the people who might actually take it seriously and do something with it. And so we're talking about social media etiquette today, and I'll turn it over to you here in just a second. But there are social media. I'm on social media. Joe, you are somewhat on social media. Not a lot, but I'd say I'm a little bit more active. We are not anti-social media. This is not going to be a young people just need to get off social media episode. We think that it can be very detrimental. Mm-hmm. It can be very harmful in a lot of instances, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody should be off of it. And so we're going to talk about some key principles to remember. Anything to add to kind of the intro here as we talk about, like, look, we recognize everybody's going to be on social media, and so we might as well talk about how we should be on.
Right. We're realists, not idealists. That's all we're saying. Yeah. Ideally, nobody be on social media just because it's a giant waste of time and creates all sorts of issues. We're realists. We realize we're on there. You're probably going to be on there if you're not.
Watching this on YouTube.
You're watching this on YouTube, so to a certain extent you already are. Yeah, exactly. So, we're going to be real about it. We're going to give 7 key principles that we want you to remember, though, as we go throughout. Basic principles, you probably thought of some of these before, but things that we want to make sure you remember as you log on to TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever it may be.
And we're going to go through these 7, and then what we're going to end with is kind of discuss each app, the ones that everybody's on, and kind of talk about, really, I guess, our take on what we should be doing with them. They're a little sneak peek here. There's 1 or 2 that we don't think anybody should be on at all. We'll save those to the end. But number 1, let's just dive right in. Key principles to remember about social media etiquette: live as much in the real world as possible.
Yeah.
What we mean by that is that, especially for young guys, it can be so easy to just be absolutely wrapped up and enveloped in the social media world, in what people are saying online, in what is the hot debate online right now, or what's the new TikTok trend, or listen. Be in the real world. Have conversations with people. Talk to people face to face. Again, people can have their head, and I myself can be guilty of this, having my head stuck in my phone about what's the latest sports story, that I'm missing out on the real world. Live as much in the real world as possible. You put this as number 1. I don't know if you did it on purpose. I think it's a great number 1 because, there's so many people that would just rather, again, have their head stuck on their phone.
You have to make sure. There's a reason I put it as number 1. More than anything, first one is don't be on your phone so much. Like, don't look for all of your self-worth and spend all of your time looking at the phone in social media. And the other thing is in terms of living in the real world, look, I'm on Twitter. It's very easy to view a problem on Twitter and go, the entire world's talking about this. Everybody's talking about this. And then you go to talk to somebody who's, somebody at church, and they're like, I'm sorry, what happened?
Right, I've never heard of that.
I've never heard of that. Or I've never heard of that person. You're going, this person's a trending topic on Twitter. That's not the real world, okay? Just because it's on social media doesn't necessarily
mean everybody
knows. My wife
is the perfect example of this.
Your wife is hilarious.
She is not on Twitter. She's barely on Facebook. She does Instagram a little bit. We will be talking about something that's like pretty big news, or maybe like an Andrew Tate, or we've been referencing him a lot lately, but like a big person in the society, and she'll go, "Who is that? What happened?" Like, she's just
gotta love her innocence.
She's got 2 kids. She's not on her phone all the time. She's not putting in that kind of stuff. But people like that it's like, they don't care what's on Twitter, what's going on Twitter. Like, they're involved in the real world, taking care of kids or working a job or whatever.
So talk to her. Figure out what's going on in her life. Clearly, these people or these events don't matter that much to her. She's not spending a lot of time.
And newsflash, they don't matter to a lot of people in the world.
Exactly. Yeah. So live in the real world. Talk to people about what they're interested in and get to know them. Don't use this as a crutch, I guess, is really what we're saying. Yeah. Which kind of goes to number 2. Don't have an alternate identity online. I've worked with people who from a sex addict perspective, they'd get into chat rooms and they'd pretend to be other people. Those things can certainly happen. But really what I'm talking about is just projecting somebody that you're not. Like you're ultra cool, or you got everything put together.
You're the food guy. You're always taking pictures of your food. The travel guy.
Exactly. Like you have this alternate identity, and then I know you, and it's like, where does this come from?
Right.
Like, and it's always goofy when you meet somebody who has the social media presence, and maybe they're social media famous or whatever, and you see their social media presence, you meet them in real life, and a lot of times they're nothing alike.
Yeah.
Nothing alike. Like they're ultra charismatic on social media or on TikTok. Like Alyssa, my wife, worked for a social media influencer. She was starting out very small at the time. She was actually an engineer. She is an engineer, but now she's getting really big. She's been featured on Good Morning America and Chrissy Teigen, things like that. Like she's a fairly big deal, like 1 million+ followers, I think. And knowing her in person and knowing who she is on, like
two different things,
two completely different things. She has to be somebody different. So there's this alternate identity. We can get into that as young men. Is we want to project to the girls online or to our fellow guys online that we've got it all together. We know all about this, or we're this person, or we're suave or cool or G or whatever it may be, when we're not. Don't project that you are somebody that you're really not.
Be real. Be genuine. Yeah, Jinx. I mean, like, you need to... There's nothing wrong with, like, getting on social media and sharing about a trip that you went on, or an opinion that you have. Most people aren't Facebook users. That's what Facebook is for, and Twitter, even, like, sharing an opinion. Like, no problem. Just don't be somebody that you're not. Don't try to project an image that you're not. Don't try to be Mr. Cool Travel Guy when, that's just because you want everybody to think that you're this, big travel guy. Like, you know what I mean? Like, don't do it for other people. I don't think you have that anywhere on here, but that's another thing I would say, just kind of as a side to this. Don't care too much what other people think.
That's a great point.
That's a big thing with social media, is everybody's putting stuff on social media so that everybody will look at them and, man, I really want to be them. I want to travel like they do. I want to do the things they do. Man, don't do it for that reason. That's a stupid reason.
That's the alternate identity, is always for other people.
Yes.
Because you don't think you're going to be accepted as you are.
Right.
If I'm real with them, then they'll reject me because I'm kind of lame. But I can be so-and-so online and can be somebody completely different, or project these different parts of my personality, which, again, that's a great point.
There's a Brad Paisley song called Online, You're Not a Country Guy. This came out in, like, 2007, like, really old song. It's this, he's describing, it's a funny song, this short, like, 5-foot guy who lives in his mom's basement. But online, he's this guy that lives in Malibu. He's got a six-pack. He's a GQ model, like, all these things. It's like, that's kind of what a lot of people do these days. Like,
This is bringing up, I should have spent more time.
You're good. We'll go fast to the other ones.
Yes, we'll go too fast. But this is terrible when you start looking at people that get catfished or people that get blackmailed into things.
Yeah.
Because that is an absolute reality. Be smart on social media where, well, I'm talking to this chick and she's really, really into me. Dude, that could be a 45-year-old guy from Texas. Yeah. You don't know.
Right.
You don't know. So if they sent me like a pic or two. Like, have you ever seen Catfished, the show? These things happen. They create alternate identities. You can't trust. So don't do it yourself. Don't trust other people that you don't personally know on social media. I
That's like point 2B.
Seriously, point 2B or C at this point. I think.
Exactly.
Yeah. That kind of goes along with this alternate identity. It's scary out there.
Or it ties in number 3.
Exactly. It gets in number 3. The internet is the world stage. Everyone is online. So when you post something, some woman in Japan gets to read it. Theoretically, potentially. You can lock things down. I know, profiles locked, whatever else it is. But when it's out there, it's out there. And the world is a very, very big and scary place. And there's a lot of people in the world that are doing a lot of bad things that happen to be found online. So this isn't like the I'm your mom here to scare you, scare tactics out of social media. All I'm saying is this is a key principle. Number 3, it's important to remember the internet is the world stage, meaning what I put out there is for everyone.
Yeah.
That's a huge responsibility.
And I'm going to go ahead and tie that directly in number 4 because we spent so long on number 2.
Yep.
Once it's out, it may stay out. Consider your future is what you what you put out there on social media is going to stay out there. And so you've heard the stories about guys, and I don't think that this is the right thing to do, but nevertheless it happens. Guys that are about to get drafted, to a major sports league, and somebody digs up a tweet from when they were in their teens that maybe they used a racial slur, maybe they said something, anti-Semitic or whatever it is that, like, because they tweeted it when they were 16 years old, all of a sudden their draft stock is plummeting. They're going to make way less money because they're not, drafted as high. And,
and they thought it was hilarious, yeah.
Right. I don't necessarily agree with that mentality of, like, we need to go back and dig up people's tweets from when they were 16. At the same time, be smart. Like, don't tweet those things. Yeah.
With screenshots and with the Wayback Machine, which can go back and dig up things that were on the internet, Yes, once it's out, it could potentially
Especially
always
with Snapchat.
Exactly. Yeah. It can always be out. Snapchat, it's like, oh, screenshot. I've got that now, which is why sexting and things like that is a horrible idea. A lot of other reasons too.
Right, that's a big one, but yeah.
Once it's out, it may very well stay out, and this could affect your future. Consider you could be running for president. Fast forward 20 years. You're 15, right? Fast forward 20 years, you'd be the youngest president of all time. But theoretically, okay, 35, that's the threshold. You can start running for president. And they happen to pull up 20 years ago, you were tweeting something. Or 20 years ago, on TikTok, you happened to post X, Y, or Z.
Something they got a screenshot from Snapchat.
That's
who
right.
knows what. Yeah.
And you thought it was hilarious or cool or hot or whatever it was at the time. And now you're getting that run through all the news cycles all over America about who you were at 15 years old. I don't want that. No thanks.
Here's the other thing about this. Employers look at your social media.
Yes, they do.
If you're going to get a job or interview for a job, they're going to look at your social media, and they're going to, and again, I don't subscribe to everything about companies that want to know your political affiliation or anything like that. But listen, I know of people who have been like, I looked up their social media and saw that they were like wild partiers, and I was like, no thanks, not going to hire them. It's like what you put out there is going to affect, and again, not trying to be fake, but like you need to understand you are putting it out there for the world to see. Yep. Be very mindful of that. Number 5, this one is super important. Be mindful of what posts you like. I think sometimes, we think that people can't see that. Like, I'm just going to like this post.
We're in our own little bubble.
Yeah, we're on our own. It's our own account. Like, nobody's going to see. Nobody has my login information. No, people can see what posts you like.
Yep.
And so it's one of those things, like if you're over there liking, swimsuit model pictures, and guess what? Your followers can see that. And other people can see that your name _27 liked this photo. Right. And that automatically negates your Christian influence.
It's not just to save face and to not, save yourself from embarrassment. How many other brothers are you potentially causing to stumble because of something that you looked at, something that you liked?
Because your timeline will recommend, like, so-and-so liked this, you might like this too, type of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So now you got who else stumbling and things like, you don't think about this. This goes with the other ones of like, it's the world stage. Everyone's out there. This goes out to a lot of people. And so we don't, rewind 50 years, 100 years. The average person, you had your friends, you had your family. Like, if you had a thought, maybe you write a book and maybe it makes it big. Not likely.
Yeah.
Most people did not. And so the average person got, let's say 20, maybe 50 people at most to influence. I hand you a phone with a social media account. You end up having that literally goes to the world. That is such a weight and a responsibility. When you look at something like this with the posts that you like, we like to think we're in our own little bubble, that these things happen kind of in a vacuum, and they don't happen around other people or with other people or to other people. It does. So just be mindful as you're going on there. This is one of the key principles to remember. Like, it's a small principle of what you like on Instagram or whatever, but it's the bigger principle of the things, the people you follow and the things that you like. All of this is out there and could potentially cause other people to stumble.
Yep.
Number 6.
So this one, I'm going to cut you. I'm going to let you go
Sure.
forward here. So this one, we are the Godly Young Men podcast. We would be remiss if we did not devote a whole point, which we have here, to the way you interact with girls online. I guess I just wanted to preface it that way because, again, we are not sitting here saying get off all social media or unfollow all females on social media. But as we have stated before, you can become addicted to pornography. You can fall into some serious lustful, experiences via social media. And so this point is supremely important for godly young men. Sorry to cut you off. Get into some of this, but this one is really important for guys.
That's right. First, don't comment /like one girl's posts. Second, don't slide into her DMs with some smooth message that you got from one of these masculinity guys. Well, if you just say this to the girl, she's going to want... Leave that alone.
You're treating her like an object.
You're treating her like an object. Treat them with dignity. People of the opposite sex, right? The opposite gender. Treat them with dignity. You have these women, and especially if there's one that you like, every little post, you're commenting on there gorgeous, or, oh, wow, you're so hot, or whatever it may be.
Chill out.
Chill out. Be dignified. Don't like every one of their posts. At some point, it becomes a creeper thing. You think that you're trying to, you're hitting on her. Maybe she does like that. That's not how you need to be meeting girls, is online. The other thing is, again, with catfishing and everything else, you don't fully know people at that point. So especially if it's somebody anonymous, be very careful. But even if you do know this person...
Sorry, real quick. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Just, again, the word dignity continues to pop into my mind. Treat them with dignity and respect. If you know them, go talk to them in person. Let them know who you really are. Don't just try to slide into their DMs or comment on everything.
So this is one that I know of the 200 people that listen or 300 people that listen to this. 270 of them are probably going to completely ignore it. But for the 30 that might pay attention to it, I'm going to go ahead and say it. If you are following somebody who gives you an opportunity to lust, unfollow them. We've talked before about unfollow the Instagram models, and hopefully you're not following Kim Kardashian and Kendall Jenner and whoever on Instagram that you know the only reason people follow them is because they post pictures without their clothes on. Like, don't follow those people and the Sports Illustrated swimsuit models and all those things. I'm going to say even like girls in your youth group, even people at your school, if you know that they're going to post their spring break pictures and their Panama City Beach pictures from their summer trip, unfollow them. Again, I know a lot of people listening to this are not going to pay attention to that and are going to say, yeah, whatever. I like looking at those pictures, and they're going to move on. Please consider, don't give yourself that opportunity to lust. Again, this is all enveloped in point number 6 here about how to interact with the girls online, but this is so important for godly young men.
It really, really is. There's a reason I'm not on Instagram. I don't go to Instagram, because it's too easy to find people like that. You are, hey, good for you. As a recovering porn addict, that's not something that I do. Be mindful of that. You can choose to unfollow them. You could choose to just completely get away from it, like what I did. Whatever you choose to do, though, make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons. And when it comes to flirting with girls online, I think there's so many. It's not the place. There's so many better ways to do it.
Yeah, I don't want to be this guy, but it's kind of the loser thing to do is to be the guy that only flirts with. If you're gonna flirt with a girl, do it in person. I guess is the best way that I would put that.
You ever seen those things where the guy goes to write this spicy message to the girl and he's trying to hit on her and he accidentally sends it in a group because he hit 52 girls and he accidentally sent it as a group. You've never seen that? Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and he sent it to 52 girls at the same time, which is what he was going to do. He meant to do it one by one, and he did it all in a group. And you see that with guys that are desperate. And it's like, oh my word,
that's embarrassing.
Don't be that guy. Is all we're saying. Don't be that guy. Number 7. And there's no reason why this is last, it's most important, but no one likes humble braggers. When you get on social media, we could have gone on, there could have been 30 principles to remember, to be honest with you, but no one likes humble braggers. When you get on to post, this sounds horrible. We are godly young men. When everything is about how godly you are, when everything is about Bible studies and everything, first off, go back to number 2, don't have an alternate identity online. If you're that spiritual person, that's fantastic. Keep it in person. When you're posting online about all of these things, it just
the Bible verse images every single day.
So disingenuous. You're a 16-year-old dude, man. I'm glad that you are. This sounds so bad because you're going to get people that are like, what, you're telling my son not to post about Bible online? No, I'd rather you post about that. We're not saying that at all. We're just saying be genuine with it and don't humble brag about how spiritual you are on all of your posts online. Be real where people get to know you a little bit if you're going to post.
I have a general rule, a general principle that does not always hold up. Your brother Jack, for instance, posts a lot on Facebook, and I love reading his posts because they're usually thought-provoking and they get a lot of controversy sometimes, but my general rule, and this, again, does not always hold up, but I think it holds up a lot. If you have 2 people, one posts on Facebook all the time, the other hardly posts at all, the person who hardly posts at all is generally more likable than the person who posts all the time. Again, that's very generic.
Generally, I think that's very accurate.
But the people who post all the time are generally way less likable than the people who don't post all that often. You know what I mean? I hardly ever post, you hardly, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, you hardly ever post. Don't be the person that's always trying to again, the alternate identity or just kind of boast about how spiritual you are. Yeah. That's just...
Or even the trips.
Yeah,
good for you. Trips, if you post the trips, but the humble bragging, I was just blessed to go on this trip, and then 1 month later, I was just blessed to go on this, and you're posting 3,000 photos. Look, if you've been waiting to go on this trip of a lifetime, good for you, man. Hey, post all the pictures you want. That's great to see. If you're the guy that is always traveling everywhere else and you're just, at some point,
you can't wait to post it so other people can see where you are.
Exactly. You're just making people jealous. And that's a big part of the social media game. Why I'm off of it is a lot of it is about making people jealous. There's an embarrassing story why I stopped posting on Facebook. I got off for a long time. But honestly, I was very, very frustrated with me trying to come up with something witty to say, I'd sit there literally 15, 20 minutes, what's my status going to be? And then I'd come up with something that I thought was pretty good, and 5 people would like it. And it was
how disappointing.
Yeah. This guy literally just posted a picture of his hot dog for lunch, and he got 300 likes. And I'm posting the meaning of life, and I got 5 likes. What is going on here? And so it just burned me out.
That's the trap you fall into.
That's the trap you fall into. And I realized this is so stupid. Yeah. So stupid. How much time am I wasting on this? But I really wanted to be the guy that had something to say. And you don't always have to be that guy. And make sure that, again, with some of the posts that you're doing, know why you're posting. And if it is about humble bragging, if it is about bringing people to jealousy or letting people know the charmed life you live, hashtag blessed by God, like, no, go talk to the people in your real life about some of the cool experiences and get to know some of their experiences. I don't lead with all the cool traveling I've gotten to do. I want to know about your travels. I want to know where you've been. Like, don't be that guy, man. Like, this is why social media etiquette is difficult to discuss. Is, in my opinion, most of us should be off of social media. Again, we're realists. We know you're not going to, but just be smart with how you handle it and make sure that you are doing it to the glory of God and you're doing it for a very specific reason, not just mindlessly.
There is a way to do it well. There is a way to do it in a harmless manner.
Right.
A lot of people don't do it in that manner,
right.
But there is a way. And
there
so that's what we're getting at here. Let's talk about these, and I'll try to hit these quickly. Let's talk about the apps. I mean, let's get real specific about how we feel about each app. Not that, again, a lot of people are going to care what we think, but hey, if they're coming to listen to this podcast, maybe you care. Maybe you care a little bit. We'll start with TikTok. That's the big one. We'll start off, with a zinger here. I'll speak for myself and let you speak. I don't think any godly young man should be on TikTok. I think TikTok is a very, very dangerous app. You say, oh, well, it's the exact same as Instagram as Facebook. No, it is not. That is an ignorant position to have. I'm not trying to be rude. It is not the same as Facebook and Instagram. Is it similar? Sure. But TikTok, for a multitude of reasons. Number one, and again, I said fast. I'll try to speed through these. Number one, it is a breeding ground for LGBTQ propaganda. They have literally come out and blatantly, openly said, TikTok is our app. That is what we're going to use to disciple young people into LGBTQ, transgenderism, etc. That's what they've said. Not me. That's what they've said. Right. And so, yeah, I think that's a little bit different than Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. You know what I mean? And so that'd be one thing. Obviously, the short-form video is a breeding ground for pornography addiction, for developing lust. I mean, it's videos. It's not just pictures.
Just addiction in general. I mean, it's
that's the other thing.
A little
the attention span,
whatever. Our attention span goes short. The algorithm pays attention to how long you have been looking at something. So if your eyes linger, this is how difficult it is. You know how difficult it is. A guy, a pretty woman walks by, and it's like you have to tell yourself, nope, don't do that, right? If you linger for 2 seconds longer than you should on TikTok, guess who's paying attention?
And it's got 60,000 more videos that can feed right into your timeline.
Yeah. 60,000 that were created 2 seconds ago. There's so many people creating so much content and so much bad content that when the algorithm pays attention to this stuff, it will continue to feed you what you like. And so if you have one moment of temptation on there, it has potential to lead toward them giving you thousands more opportunities for that. And let's just call it out as we see it. It's nothing but Chinese spyware. Yeah. Get it off your phones. Don't let it into your house. They're listening. They're taking all this and go, oh, everybody else is. No. Stop making excuses. TikTok is horrible for that. That has been proven. There's a reason it's banned in certain countries.
Texas is trying to ban it.
Texas is trying to ban it. There's a reason China bans a lot of the stuff that they have from their own app. So be smart with TikTok.
Again, a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, it's the exact same." Conveniently, those are always the people that have TikTok and love TikTok.
Exactly,
it's
not the same. And a lot of these are posted on YouTube Shorts, Instagram stories. You're going to get a lot of the same stuff, but in a safer place a lot of the time. Still got to be careful with those. Let's move on to number 2, which is Instagram. Now, I'm not on there because I just find that if you're looking, it's all it takes is one weak moment yet again for you to look at something for them to realize, oh, wow, you really like that. And so algorithm-wise, I don't think it's quite as good as TikTok, but there still is an algorithm aspect to it.
You can still look at what are they, Reels, as they call them? Reels,
yeah, exactly, the Reels.
Where you just can scroll endlessly. And I have made it a point. Like, I caught my wife the other day doing that. Like, babe, you are not allowed to do that. Do not be scrolling the stupid Reels.
Oh, man.
Because of the attention span thing, mainly.
It's addicting.
Like, it's killing your brain cells.
They know how to do it. It's addicting.
But for Instagram, the one thing I would add is this one also can... This is probably, I would say, the third most dangerous one if we're having to rank them. And we'll get to what I think is the second most dangerous after TikTok. But Instagram is one that I think... if you don't have self-discipline, get off. Like, if you do not have the ability to hit the unfollow button, hit the block button in many instances, then get off. Like, you have when you hit the search bar on Instagram and it's got the Explore, whatever that's called, the Explore page, where it's showing you everything that they think you want to see.
Yep.
Whether it's, goofy videos of cats. It was a ton of golfing videos for me there for a while because that's all I was looking up was golf videos. It knows what you want to see.
Oh yeah.
And so if it sees that you're lingering on a girl in a bikini and at the beach, guess what? It's going to keep feeding you more of that stuff. And so be very careful. I'm not telling you to get off of it. If you don't think you have self-control, get off of it immediately. Yep. Let's go to this one. This one is the one that I think is the second most dangerous. That's Snapchat. Snapchat. I was not allowed to have Snapchat growing up.
No.
I was 14 when I was allowed to have Twitter. I'm sorry, 15. I was 15. I was 16 when I was allowed to get Instagram. And then I was not allowed to get Snapchat ever. And I downloaded it at 18 because I was like, I'm 18, whatever. I can get Snapchat. And I don't ever use it. I still have it on my phone because of the stupid memories thing where it's got a ton of pictures and videos on there that, like, if I delete the app, I lose all that stuff. So I don't use it now. I think this is the second most dangerous app that's out there for young people. And mainly because it has the allure of I can send whatever I want and it just disappears into the, hemisphere or whatever. The screenshot button exists, like
exactly, and these are in the cloud, man. Once they're out there, they're out there. Like it is somewhere. Somebody can retrieve it. Very, very dangerous. Everybody thinks they're sly, they're coy, they can get away with it, whatever it is. Snapchat, to me, why would you have the ability to delete it if it wasn't for nudes,
right?
Or for the disappearing after 7 seconds, or whatever. If it wasn't specifically for that, they also have like Snapchat at night. They have some really dangerous features. And yeah, I know there's chatting and my friends are on there and everything else. Like your friends are in real life too. Go talk to them.
Yeah.
I'm not the guy to talk to about this because I don't have for any of these three. Be Real is another one we had on here. I don't have Be Real either.
I Be Real is to me probably one of the safest.
Seems like it.
Be Real, and let me finish on Snapchat real quick because I wanted to Jackson is almost 2. And projecting out what social media is going to be like when he's that old is crazy. But I will not be allowing my kids on Snapchat. Certainly not on TikTok. Instagram, maybe when they're close to 17, 18. Yeah. These other ones, Snapchat is one I don't think is anybody should be on. I'm not quite as harsh on it as I am with TikTok, right. But it's. Like you said, what's the point of it other than just to have pictures that disappear, and that just creates all kind of issues. Like, just text each other if you know what I mean?
That's exactly it. Text each other or post it on Instagram. If you're okay with posting it, then you can still interact there. There's chatting features. I don't see the point of Snapchat other than to get into trouble.
Yeah. You brought up Be Real as another one. That's one of the real newer ones. I don't see as big of a problem with that because with Be Real, you get an alert to post once a day. You post and then you're done. It's not one of those where you can endlessly scroll. There is no video feature like there is with the Reels and the TikTok stuff. And it's the allure of it is like when the alert goes off, you have to post immediately what you're doing, and so you can't just always post the mountain pictures or the beach pictures, and so you're being more real. People still can post late and wait till they're at the concert or whatever, and so it's not quite. But still, you're not going to be endlessly scrolling like you are with Instagram and with even Facebook or TikTok and those things. So that one's not quite as bad. Yeah. I know you're not as familiar with that one, so you probably don't have any comment for that one. But
no, not too much. The other ones are for old people.
Most of our watchers probably are not on
Facebook, Reddit, Twitter. Twitter maybe, but I don't know. A lot of people got on that. For the older folks, which are probably 25 and up. You may be on these. Facebook, if you're 40 and up. I mean, I'm on Facebook, but we're on Facebook. But not very many people, especially godly young men, probably aren't perusing Facebook that much. Still, I think the same things apply, which is just be smart with it. Turn it into a competition. Don't turn it into everything that you can post. Twitter can be great. It's my news source in a lot of ways.
X now? Elon change it to X?
Whatever that means. Whatever that means. I don't understand. But Reddit, I mean, these things can be very dangerous it sounds horrible to say I'm the porn guy. I'm the guy that knows all about this stuff, and each of those presents a very real possibility.
YouTube is another one we don't have on here.
YouTube, we don't have on here.
This via YouTube. Yeah.
You might be watching on YouTube. That is a social media app. That's how you're connecting socially with people, and comments and everything else are still there. So, this is all we're saying is be very smart when it comes to social media etiquette. You need to know your threshold on each of these. Yeah. You need to know if you can or cannot handle it. For me, at the time, I could not handle Instagram because I was still in the midst of my addiction at 16, 17 years old when this was kind of becoming huge and starting to get big. And now that I think about the timeline, I think it was starting to kind of come around 16, 17, 18 years old. And I had not kicked the addiction, and it was a very dangerous place for me. I knew this is not okay for me. For you, perfectly fine. For my wife, perfectly fine. Yeah, I can get into, for her, a little bit more of an addiction of scrolling the reels or whatever. Yeah. The stories. At the same time, just know where you are on each of these things. We would both strongly encourage you get off of TikTok, get off of Snapchat. Yes, you may lose friends. Look, I had to get rid of YouTube, and I had to get rid of Instagram, and I had to get rid of a lot of other things.
For the first couple months, yeah.
And it did, until it didn't. I don't think about it. It's still not on there. YouTube is still blocked on my phone. I don't know. You just don't think about it after a certain point. So just be aware of that. It will take or cost you a little bit up front. Yeah. But it will ultimately be worth it, I think.
Two things I'll say, and we'll make this point, and then I'll let you wrap us up and get out of here. It's significantly better to go read a book than it is to be on social media. It is significantly better to go play sports than it is to be on social media. It is significantly better to go have a conversation with somebody over coffee, to go study your Bible, to go do just about anything else other than be on social media.
Right.
We're not saying get off. I'm on. You're on. Like, we are on occasionally. We're not. These prudes that say we should never be on social media. But please keep in mind, if you're spending multiple hours a day on social media, just consider what are the better things that you can do with your time. Yeah. Because there are a lot of them. There are a lot better things you can do with your time. And the only other thing I'll say is, as you get older, a lot of maybe our older listeners will echo this. You realize just how of little significance social media in general is. You just find yourself having less and less time for it because it's like, I don't care. It's not that big a deal. You
got a life to live.
I get addicted to Twitter during sports season because I like to see what people are saying about the sports. Even that, it's like, that's not a big deal at all. And so a lot of young guys, they think the world revolves around social media. I get it. You will find that it does not. Life is so much greater. There are so much more better things to enjoy in your life than just kind of scrolling. And so if you're not there yet, we understand, but you'll get there eventually. There are much more important and more enjoyable things in life than just scrolling TikTok. Anything else you would add?
We realize that this is just the basics. There are tons of social media apps out there, tons of things that you can do. And you may say, well, what about this or what about that? The same principles apply, the same thing. We just don't think it matters that much. No matter what they always come out with something new. There's always going to be that next big thing. TikTok, I didn't know TikTok was going to come around because I thought we had some of that ability already.
Yep.
That came around. I didn't know about Snapchat initially, and then that got big. There's always going to be something new. Same things apply, and the same principle you just said, which is you're just going to find the older you get, the less this matters, and to kind of pull away from those things, in my opinion. But enjoy it, be smart with it, and just make sure that you are exercising appropriate social media etiquette. That's
a great way to wrap. We'll be back next week for episode 35 of the Godly Young Men podcast. Thank you so much for watching.